Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. My name is Krishna and joining me, as always, is Mr. Bill Copbush. Bill, how's it going?
Dude, it is currently 12:14 a.m.
That is correct.
Yes, it is approximately 2 hours past my usual bedtime. So if Krishna and I sound somewhat, off, sleepy, gravelly, you'll know why.
You'll
But
understand.
it was worth it to stay up that late because we
Mm.
had to check out AEW Revolution.
Yup.
Yeah, and the show for us just finished a few minutes ago. And I am coming to you from Krishna's basement. So there you go. Not my usual recording venue, but this is the lengths we go to bring you quality content with One Winged Wrestling. So we had the pay-per-view tonight. You want to get into it, Krishna?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's just get right into it before both of us fall asleep. Although, to be honest, I'm still pretty hyped from the pay-per-view. So anyway, it came to us tonight from Chase Center in San Francisco, California. I did not see the pre-show. Did you see the pre-show, Krishna, at all?
I saw the match against the Lucha Brothers and why am I forgetting the name now? Trustbusters.
Yeah.
Lucha Brothers won. It was a good match. It was quick, and that's all I really say about that.
How did it compare to the other matches on the card? The main card.
It was a good match. I mean, it could have been. I mean, we'll get to the one match. Obviously, it should have probably replaced, but it was. I guess it wasn't a title match, right?
Right.
It was good. It was really good. It was actually a very good match.
Cool. Yeah, normally I get a chance to check out the pre-show, but life circumstances happen sometimes, and I had to skip it for the main show.
And we had to, due to technology issues, we had to kind of like figure out a way to watch the main show, which we solved, but
yes,
it was quite the quite the trek today, I guess.
Yeah, we did have a few difficulties getting to actually watch the pay-per-view. Rogers decided to be a total bitch, but we already know Rogers is a total bitch. So, it was once more struggling with Rogers in Canada. So you Canadians, you can probably sympathize. Those of you outside, if you ever moved to Canada, consider Bell. Anyway.
And probably the last show we'll ever attempt to watch on Rogers again.
Yes, exactly. There are always other means to find things. So anyhow, so the show opened tonight with Excalibur, JR, and Tony on commentary. I'd also heard Taz. Were all four of them there in the booth?
Yeah, it was weird. I think they were like tagging in and out oddly.
Yeah, because I heard all four voices at periods during the night. Like, was JR there the whole time? Was he
JR
calling
was there for a couple matches, I think, but I don't think he was there for all of them.
I couldn't really tell when they were there or not. I just remember hearing all four. So we had Excalibur, JR, Tony, and Taz on commentary. I think JR was kind of there for like the first half of the show. He seemed to disappear for like the Iron Man match.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so it opened up though. Chris Jericho's music hits. We get Jericho versus Ricky Starks. The JAS is supposed to be banned from ringside in this. If you recall, if you listened to our prediction show, I picked that Jericho would win and Jay White appears. Krishna said Starks would win. And Krishna was right. Starks came out with his ribs taped, but he comes out on fire. And by the way, when I say his ribs are taped, it's like someone took one strip of masking tape and wrapped it around his ribs. Yeah, that's basically what it looked like. But he comes out on fire, including a tope suicida as he tosses Jericho around outside the ring. Jericho finally took Starks off the apron into the rail. He continues a beatdown in the ring, including a good tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. But when he starts slapping Ricky, he comes back with hard shots. Jericho catches him on the apron again with the springboard drop kick. But when he puts an abdominal stretch on, surprisingly, Ricky comes back again, hitting the tornado TTD. Yeah, there you go. Tornado DDT for two. Ricky goes for a top rope double axe handle. My favorite move ever, by the way. But Jericho kicks him down and hits a Death Valley driver for two. But on the code breaker attempt, Stark reverses into a power bomb. But then on a run, Jericho nails him with the code breaker, but only gets the two on a slow cover. Starks comes back in with a spear for two. They grab each other by the head, exchange blows until Starks hits a thrust kick. But as Starks goes off the ropes, Jericho dodges, locks on the walls, but Starks reverses into a single leg crab. Then Sammy Guevara, Mr. Bard from ringside, runs down to the ring, but somehow or other Action Andretti's at ringside and spears Sammy Guevara. Jericho then gets the bat while Aubrey Edwards is distracted with these shenanigans and nails Starks in the ribs. Jericho goes for the Judas effect, but Ricky recovers very quickly from being hit in the ribs with a bat and blocks it and beats Jericho down, toe kicks him in the stomach, and then hits the Rochambeau for the 3.
Yeah, I mean the match wasn't bad. It was a good match. It kind of weird stuff happened. First of all, the JS have been banned from the ringside, so shouldn't that have been an automatic disqualification that they came down? A lot of things sometimes tonight may not make sense because apparently rules are WWE style rules where the rules don't matter at certain points. The rules only matter in certain instances. But the match overall, I mean, like, if this is it, this is a really told story of Ricky Starks winning, Jericho then beating him down with his crew, and then with Ricky Starks winning again. So were very odd. I'm just kind of hoping they move away from this now. I'm okay with that. Like Ricky Starks can go do something else. Jericho can go do something else. Yeah. Again, I wasn't upset. It was a decent opening to the show. I thought it was a fine match. Both guys did great. But yeah, it was just it was good, but a lot of confusing parts to it. So yeah, that's my thought on this one.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. Sammy ran down, no consequences. Action Andretti comes out of nowhere, no consequences. It was just like, what's going on? Jericho gets the bat, nails him in the ribs, but that doesn't really do much.
No.
Like it's, I don't think I liked this match as much as you did. They worked hard. There was some good spots in it. I don't need to see any more abdominal stretches and double off the top rope double axe handles in my life, but it wasn't a terrible match.
Yeah.
I'll give it the gentleman's 3 stars. Like the guys worked hard and it wasn't terrible. So we'll just squeak in at 3. The finish was weird. It seemed very confused. I don't feel like it's definitive at all.
No.
Like Starks puts him down, but so what? Like I don't know. There wasn't a lot of emotion in the match for me. I think that's really what was missing for me. So
it's not.
It was there.
You're right.
We've had better openers for these pay-per-views before, so I kind of felt like this set, there was some good stuff. Anyway, we'll get into it later. Anyway, our next matchup was Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Christian Cage. Now, when we did our pre-show, we said this was a no holds barred match because that's at the time what it was listed as, but it was changed to a casket match. So it's a casket match. We both said Jungle Boy wins. So Christian Cage tries to wishbone Perry on the ring post early. Perry pulls him forward, hitting Cage's head on the post. They brawl around the outside until Christian decides to leave through the crowd, but Jungle Boy brings him back. They fight more on the ramp until Christian goes, oops, that's near the casket, and runs back in the ring. Jack attacks him again, biting, punches until Christian throws him to the floor by the hair and pounds on his head. Locks on a double back armbar with Perry's head pressed against his shin. That just looked painful. He chokes Jack on the ropes. It gets tossed to the outside when Perry nails a tope suicida and smashes Christian into the steps, hitting his head repeatedly, busting him open. He tries to stomp his arm, but Christian pulls him down on the stairs. He grabs Jungle Boy's belt at this point and whips him with it up the ramp close to the casket, where he chokes him with it, gets a couple chairs out of the casket, but Jack comes back. They fight back and forth, reversing each other until Christian back body drops Perry onto the dirt by the casket. Christian tries a kill switch onto a chair, but Perry tosses him off the stage, hits him with a huge tope con hero, tosses him back on the stage, gets a chair, but Christian nails him with a low blow, pounds his head into the casket repeatedly, puts him in the casket, but of course, Jungle Boy stops him from closing the lid. Christian comes back with a kill switch on the dirt, goes for a concerto, but misses. Jack swings a shovel at him. They fight over it, both trying to choke each other until Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap with the shovel in Christian's teeth until he passes out. Christian, not Jungle Boy. He sets Christian up for the concerto and actually goes ahead and nails it, and then looks very conflicted for a moment. He throws Christian into the casket, kisses him, stands there staring at him for a while, and finally realizes he actually needs to close it for the win, and does so. What'd you think?
I like this match. obviously it was like a year in the making, I guess, because of the injuries back and forth. I think it would have played off a lot better had it flowed when it was supposed to, like, be like actually be on the cards like way back when. But I really liked it. Both these guys did such a great job and like telling that story. I didn't think Jungle Boy was gonna hit that concerto. I was like, no, he's not gonna do it. And he hit it. I was like, holy crap, he actually did it, right?
Yep.
Even closing the casket where Christian first gives Jungle Boy a kiss, so he puts him in, and then Jungle Boy actually gives him a kiss on the forehead and closes it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little touch to it, because they're trying to show emotion. And hey, Christian is awesome, right? Christian is like is like Jericho. They're both awesome, like vets who are helping these young guys. And I thoroughly enjoy this match because Jungle Boy. I don't think this kid can have a bad match, to be honest with you. And I just felt that it would have had such a bigger impact had it happened like last year. But overall, it's fine. If this is the end of it, it was a good ending. Like it did close up the story now. So I like this match.
Yep. And we can get the headlines tomorrow. Jungle Boy buries Christian.
This should.
Yep. Yeah, of course. That would be the natural one. Yeah, no, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was I found it a little bit predictable. Like there was nothing in it that made me go, holy crap, that's a really inventive spot, or wow, that's something different. The story went along the lines I kind of expected the story to go, and it ended kind of the way I expected it to end. I wasn't as surprised as you. I think that he hit the concerto. I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? He almost has to do it, because he realizes what it cost him last time when he didn't. I like that they did the bit though where he's still conflicted having hit it.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is really an evil move to hit. And he's still like, oh, it's not something I want to be doing, but I need to do it in this case. Right. Yeah. Like, and so that's kind of cool too, because he's gonna kind of stay true to himself after this. It'll be interesting to see what kind of promo he cuts post this match. Agreed. And where they both go from here.
Yep.
Agreed. So yeah, no, I'd say, but this one's about 3.5 stars. I would have given this one. Good match, enjoyed it. Then we get what is Krishna's and my main event of the evening: the Elite taking on House of Black for the AEW Trios Championships. Now, I said the House of Black was going to win this. Krishna said the Elite was going to win this. Kenny and Buddy started off. They have an amazing back and forth. I can't even describe everything they did. And just a great exchange until Malaki Black tags himself in. And then Kenny and Malaki go back and forth until Malaki locks in an arm lock. Malaki gets out of a one-winged angel attempt, but Kenny dodges the black mask, ending in them both sitting across from each other. Matt faces Brody next, but Brody cleans house, taking out all three of the Elite, and then the match breaks down. The Bucks go nuts on Matthews. That's how I'm describing all the moves they did. And Malaki and Omega hit a Hurricane Rana to King. Bucks go nuts on Matthews and Malaki, and Omega hits a Hurricane Rana to King, sending him outside, where he hits the Terminator dive on all three members of the House of Black. Nick hits a 450 on King, but gets a 1 count as King just flies right up. He tosses Nick out of the Escalera arm drag and then tosses Matt out of the ring. They beat the Elite down outside the ring. Back in the ring, Nick reverses Matthews' pump handle into a roll-up for 2, but there's no one for the tag. King comes in, but Nick finally tags Omega, who hits a flying crossbody to King, but the discus Polish hammer is completely no-sold. The follow-up Katara Crusher, though, gets a 2. He hits a rolling slam, but the splash eats knees. The House of Black tries to triple team, but they get super kicked. Kenny hits the V trigger for 2 and tries to lift King into the, I almost said Kenny King, lift him into the one-winged angel. But King drills him with a lariat. Malaki gets a jumping knee in and an arm variation of the figure 4 on Kenny until Matt hits an elbow. We get a waterfall moment then. It just goes nuts. Everyone's hitting everything until we're down to Kenny versus Malaki again. They absolutely kill each other with elbows, kicks, high knees until both are down. Brody King gets taken down by the Bucks on the apron, and Kenny hits 2 snapdragons on Malaki in quick succession. But then Julia distracts him by getting up on the apron. He goes for the one-winged angel, but Malaki fights out. Kenny goes for the V trigger. Malaki dodges, and Kenny V triggers Julia off the apron, stopping for a minute, looking at her, shrugging, and turning back to Malaki. Malaki nails the black mask, but Nick interrupts. They hit the Inferno, but Matt interrupts that. Matthews and King then eliminate the Bucks over the rail. All three surround Kenny, but the Bucks pull King and Matthews out. And then there's a super kick party. They nail the BTE trigger on Black, but Matthews interrupts. The Bucks go for the Meltzer driver, but Matthews absolutely nails Nick with a kick as Nick flips over. Then they both hit Matt with the Black Mask and Dante's Inferno. 1, 2, 3. That's the match. What'd you think?
Match of the night. What an amazing match. Like, where was this House of Black? Oh my God. What a showcase for these guys. They went up against the Elite and they brought it. They brought it. Like, I'm not even upset. I'm not even upset the Elite lost. I am so happy House of Black won this and the way they won it, right? It wasn't like they dominated anything, but they went one-on-one with the Elite, right? On the Elite's level. So I like some of the things that happened in this match, it just blew my mind. Like, easily my match of the night. Easily. Like, there's another match which was really great too, but easily my match of the night. Because hey, you know, we complained the story wasn't the greatest, but you know what? I'm okay with House of Black being the champions now and seeing where they go with this. Give them some story to deal with. And I'm very curious now what happens with the Elite. So, you know, a lot of questions still up in the air, but the right team won. Amazing match. And after this, I was like, oh, so the pay-per-view is finished, right? Like, this was our main event.
I know, right?
And yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and my match of the night too. Like, hands down match of the night.
Yeah.
There were so many moments in this match where I went, holy crap, that was awesome, right? Like, it was the kind of match where you're watching 6 amazing wrestlers go at it, and each of them having their moments. Like, I love how, like, Buddy Matthews, just really strong but really fast and such a good wrestler and given so many moments to show that. Brody King looked like a goddamn monster in that ring. Just an unstoppable beast. And Malaki Black looked like the cool, in control leader the whole time. Right. And played off against Kenny, you know, the Elite's leader, perfectly. Right. It was such a well constructed match. It was so well done. There were so many good near falls. I bit on more than one of them. Like, you really thought that the Bucks were winning, and the Elite were winning a couple times, right? It was so well constructed, even right down to how Julia Hart was used. And like, Kenny was just, basically told her to move. She ate a V trigger, right? Like, what are you gonna do? Kudos on her for taking that V trigger. You know, and it was just such a good match from start to finish. I loved it. Great story. I wish they had done a build that was equal to the story they told in the ring. Agreed. But if I just take this match on its own, and the fact that you had these 2 stellar teams going at it, both of them wrestling their styles, both of them doing whatever they could, 4.5 stars match of the night.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. And I'm with you. What do they do with the Elite now? You know,
I think things are happening, Bill. So yeah, I'm interested in what's happening now.
Yeah, it is very interesting, because I think this may be the last we'll hear Carry On Wayward Son for a little while.
Oh yeah.
Now I turned to you at this point and I said, I pity whoever's following this match. And then they place the Jamie Hayter, Ruby Soho, and Saraya match next. But you know what? They didn't fall over.
No.
They didn't suck.
No.
They didn't whimper out.
No.
They fought a very good match. Soho started up, like, pretty soon into it, hit a shotgun drop kick through the ropes to Saraya early on, followed by a cross body to both off the guardrail. You know, Saraya tosses Hayter in the ring, beats her down for quite a while with stomps and knees until Hayter side slams her onto the apron. Soho hits a diving cross body to Hayter, reverse STO for 2. All 3 then fought in the ring. Soho blocks the Haterade, hits a seated Rana for 2. She goes to the top, but Hayter stops her. Saraya comes in for the Tower of Doom spot. She locks in her submission and DDTs Hayter as well, but Britt distracts her. Ruby hits Destination Unknown, but Hayter breaks up the pin. Ruby and Hayter fight, and Hayter hits a lariat on Saraya when Ruby dodges. Soho and Hayter trade pin attempts. Hayter gets Soho with a crucifix at that point for 3. Immediately, though, Tony Storm runs in, attacks Britt and Hayter, and Ruby just sits there watching and eventually comes in and stops them from attacking. But the second that Saraya and Tony Storm are out of the ring, Ruby turns on Britt and Hayter. They all three of them beat them down and spray paint them. What'd you think of the match and the finish?
I like the match, but I really like the finish a lot. I think that smart booking on AEW's part, because remember I said like, wow, this like I really enjoyed the storyline for a while, but then it just kept getting this. It was the same thing over and over and over again. Like, come on. Obviously, they're saving the turn for the pay-per-view. Yeah, that these women did well. They really did well. Like Saraya looked good. I thought she looked really good in this match too, right? She did what she needed to do, and stuff like that. Like there were points where I thought, Ruby or Saraya was going to win this match, but even though I know I had the huge feeling, obviously that our girl Jamie was going to win, but I did like the turn because this is the whole we've fully turned Britt and Jamie babyface.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I'm like, no, the minute that Ruby, and I loved Ruby in this, the minute she stood there and they held up her hand, I'm like, oh, something's gonna happen. And she gave her the destination unknown. I was like, oh, that is fantastic. What a nice way. So I actually I'm another storyline I'm interested in, right? I'm interested in the Bucks and Omega and House of Black, and now this. Hey, we've asked for storylines. We got some storylines today, right? Like as much as some ended, we got some storylines today, and I am excited to see where they go with this next. Because hey, if the rumors are true, and they are starting up a all female division, you need stories to carry that division, right?
Right. Yes.
So
You mean an
was
all-female
happy.
show, not just a division. There's already an all-female
Yeah,
division.
sorry, I meant show. Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked it. I thought that they did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll be talking more about the prospect of an all-female AEW show tomorrow.
Yep.
For now, for this match, yeah, no, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was well done for a three-way, a lot of back and forth.
Mhm.
Saraya looked good. I didn't think any of them looked. I mean, Ruby Soho is great. Jamie Hayter's great. Like everything hit crisply. Timing seemed on with everything. I thought it was a really well executed match. I like the fact that the finish was a crucifix pin, because what it does is it makes all three of these women still look like powerful leaders,
Yeah.
powerful people in the thing. Like none of them ate a pin or anything like
Yep.
that. No one looked weak. Like they weren't going to pin Ruby when she was about to do this big turn. They weren't going to pin Saraya when she's about to do this. So I mean, getting Ruby with a crucifix, it also kind of sets her up for like the whole yeah, you deserve to be beaten down kind of thing, right? And I like it. I like where the story's going now. They finally moved this forward. I mean, for the last couple of weeks, it's felt like it's just been sitting there in
Same
limbo,
thing.
but
Same
I
thing. Yeah.
still have questions.
Yeah.
What about Hikaru Shida? What
I told you.
happened to
I
Hikaru
told
Shida?
you.
Yeah.
I told you that the third person that's going to be helping Britt's group is going to be Hikaru Shida, one of the AEW originals, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's really what we're looking for. Because
Mhm.
Ruby Soho, although she's been in AEW for a while now, has aligned herself with the incoming morons. You can tell which side I am cheering for. I don't really mean I actually think they're morons. I'm just being a fan right now. Anyway, so yeah, no, I thought this was a very solid 3.75 stars match. Good story, good finish. Liked it. So then we move into Jon Moxley taking on Adam Page in a Texas death match. So Hangman goes right after Mox in the crowd during his entrance and they brawl. He opens Hangman up with some barbed wire early on. And this match was bloody. I mean, really bloody and really brutal. It's exactly what you would have expected it to be. We had barbed wire, a fork, more barbed wire, chairs covered in barbed wire, boards, and I'm just naming weapons. These were all used. Boards covered in barbed wire, bricks, chains. The end actually came, and this match went on for quite a while with both of them just beating the living crap out of each other. The end came when Mox wrapped a chain he was using around his own neck, kind of like Bruiser Brody or Junkyard Dog style. And Hangman eventually used that very chain to hang Mox, appropriately enough, over the ropes until Mox actually tapped out. Both were bloodied, bruised messes. What did you think of this match?
I thought it was fantastic storytelling by Hangman and Mox. Like these two guys hate each other. Brutal. Like I there were so many times I turned away during this match. I just couldn't watch some of the things they were doing to each other. Yeah, the ending where Hangman literally chokes and chokes out Mox and like as you said, hangs him
Mhm.
with Mox tapping out things I thought I would never see. And I guess we'll talk about that later, things I thought I'd never see. But yeah, I thought this was a great match. Like again, if Mox is out now for a while on vacation, well deserved. Like this, you carried the company for the past like year or so. Um, and I thought this is a great build for Hangman. He didn't give up. He took punishment. He's bleeding. Like, guys, Jon Moxley used a fork to grate his head. I've never. It's one of the most disgusting things I've seen. It's so, but yeah, it was such a good match by both these guys. Like, um, they took their shots. They gave it to each other, and at the end, like, yeah, as I said, I thought Hangman was gonna win this one, and it doesn't make any, or I should say, it doesn't make either of these guys look weak in any way.
Mhm.
Mox is still Mox, right? Mox
Yep.
tapped out because Mox was about to die, So,
Yes.
so that I understand that. So yeah, I very much like as we were talking about. I'm like, yeah, this match doesn't compare to the elite match, but you're right, totally different matches, and man, was it a good match? But yeah, so brutal. My God, it's so brutal.
Yeah, I would call it, for me, it was like pleasantly brutal. Like, I don't know what it was. I think it was reading Mox's book. I gained a
Mhm.
real appreciation, I think, for some of the art of these kind of matches, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, because it's a totally different style of match
Mhm.
from your like Elite versus Death Triangle.
Yep.
Okay. There was some wrestling in this. They definitely did some wrestling occasionally, but it was
Mhm.
mainly just brutality. But there's a difference between this kind of stuff and just a run of the mill, hey, we're gonna have a hardcore plunder match where we just beat each other with stuff.
Yep.
This had a purpose because
Mhm.
they've been telling this story for ages, right? This was like the culmination of their story.
Yep.
And it was beautiful for that.
Yep.
I mean, these guys hate each other, yet they respect each other. And they just killed each other for
Yep.
this. Neither one was willing to give up. It literally took Hangman hanging Moxley with a steel chain from the ring to the point where you could see his face turning purple
Mhm.
before he tapped out. Like,
Yep.
it's just craziness, right? I loved this match. Like, it is the 1B to the 1A
1A.
of the Elite and
Yep.
Death Triangle. Not Death Triangle, the Elite and House of
House of
Elite and
Black.
Death Triangle. Remember those days? Yeah. Anyway, the Elite and House of Black match, right? So no, I absolutely love this match. 4.25 stars. Um, just so good, so good,
Great
so good.
match.
Yep,
Great
great
match.
match. And then it was basically all downhill from here. So next up, we had Samoa Joe taking on Wardlow for the TNT Championship. Samoa Joe dominated this match until Wardlow hit an Escalera moonsault. That is correct, people. Wardlow hit an Escalera moonsault to a standing Samoa Joe. Wardlow pounds on him until Joe sweeps out his leg. He works Wardlow over, targeting the leg, but Wardlow comes back, hitting an F10 and a top rope swanton bomb, meaning that Joe sucks at working the leg. Joe
Mhm.
kicked out, but soon locked in the coquina clutch, but Wardlow reached the ropes. Samoa hits a Death Valley driver, gets another two. Wardlow power bombs Joe off the turnbuckle though, but then Joe kicks out of a Symphony power bomb attempt, going for his own power bomb Symphony. But Wardlow reverses into a rear naked choke that people were trying to call the coquina clutch, but it was not applied properly to be a coquina clutch, and he chokes out Joe for the win.
Yeah, this match was just confusing. Like it had good spots, it did, but then the ending was kind of flat, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, sure, but you're having Samoa Joe tap out to his own move. I hope that doesn't happen twice in one show, right?
I know,
So
right?
yeah, I really hope it doesn't happen twice. But yeah, I was like, this match was okay. It was okay. It was faster than I thought. Obviously, they were moving towards a 60-minute match. Um, But ultimately, it was just like, okay, we're moving the belt to Wardlow because we're gonna move Joe now full time to Ring of Honor, which I understand, I get that, right?
Mhm.
But Wardlow is not Samoa Joe. Wardlow does not have the charisma that Samoa Joe has. So I'd rather see this belt on Hobbs, which apparently they're fighting on Wednesday. So sure, yeah, the match wasn't terrible. It was good. It's just the ending was a bit confusing. And I told you, Bill, I said to you, there's no way Wardlow's doing a power bomb symphony on Samoa Joe. And guess what? He did not, because he couldn't do it, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's just very odd finish. I guess Wardlow has a belt and he has some really odd ring gear now. So, that's
Yeah, what was
I,
with that? It
I
looked like the
don't
straps
know.
are just a little bit too thin on his singlet tonight. I
I
don't
don't
know. It's like he
know.
had a new singlet. It honestly did. It looked a little weird on him.
Yeah,
So,
it's like he borrowed Pete Dunne's singlet and decided to wrestle in it. So
right. Yeah, exactly. It looks like it was made for someone that was like much smaller than him. Like he forgot his ring gear and
oh
someone had to
man.
loan him a singlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. But the match itself, yeah, it was there. It was a
Yeah.
match. There was
Yeah.
nothing in it that made me thrilled. They both worked hard. I'll give him that. I mean, Wardlow certainly tried hard, right? I
Mhm.
mean, he did that Escalator moonsault. I'll give him that much credit. This for me gets my second and sadly second gentleman's 3 stars of the night, right? Like,
Okay.
good job, guys. I'll give you 3 because you both worked hard and you didn't suck, but you didn't do much for me either.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Exactly.
Wardlow's got the belt. We both said Wardlow was going to get the belt. So yeah, he moves on to Hobbs and
Whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see it Wednesday. Yay. It's too late in the evening to talk about a Guns acclaimed
Oh my
match,
God.
Krishna.
It's very, yeah, I can't.
Guns versus the Acclaimed versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus Danhausen and Orange Cassidy for the AEW Tag Team Championship. And both of us were holding at that little hope. Would they, might they put the belts on Orange Cassidy and Danhausen? Wouldn't that be kind of great? I mean, Krishna went out on a limb and actually picked
I
them
did.
out of spite. I picked the Acclaimed. We were both wrong. Orange Cassidy did have a good sequence with his hands in his pockets, and then he gets a great sequence against the Guns with his DDT, Tope Suicida. Then Lethal was tagged in, but he hits the Lethal combination. But then Orange Cassidy tags out to Max Caster, and that's essentially the end of Orange Cassidy in this match.
Mhm.
We eventually get a spot where Lethal, Jarrett, and the Guns work together against the Acclaimed until the Guns turned on Jarrett, and Satnam Singh tossed the Guns out, and Danhausen tries to curse him. Orange Cassidy comes back briefly for an orange punch on Satnam Singh, and then the Guns beat up Danhausen for the 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of feel like this match itself was just there for the return of FTR.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of feel, right? It's kind of like, hey, oh, by the way, the Guns haven't defended their belts, so we need to have them defend their belts. Let's have them do the pay-per-view because FTR's come back to take the belts from them. Why didn't you just have FTR beat them at this pay-per-view for the belts? Oh, that's right, because the Acclaimed went in and said, oh, we're going to put our rematch clause in.
The
Great. So
non-existent AEW
yeah.
rematch clause.
So then why didn't you have the Acclaimed as one of the tag teams here instead of the other two? Just
Yeah,
just 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 a thought. Just a thought,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um now that could be because what you were saying today, what we were talking about like offline in terms of like the podcast and things that FTR has been saying and the fact that some of the stuff gets run through AEW's
Legal.
HR or legal, right? So yeah, maybe that's it. Like and listen, I'm happy to see FTR. I really am. But this match was just absolutely useless.
Mhm.
Absolutely useless. Like you're making a mockery of the tag division. Now, that being said, the Bucks are now free to do what the Bucks need to do, right? And I'm sick and tired of like we need to take back seat to this stuff and that stuff. No, you don't. No, you definitely don't. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but like I'm very interested in what's happening next, right? Because I really do think FDR is just going to win the belts. To be honest with you, they're going to win. But then what? right? Then what? So you know what? Yes, obviously the worst match of the night, like hands down the worst match of the night. Didn't care for it. And just like yeah, it's just a waste. It was a waste. And the problem is that you look at the fan reaction, it was dead in there. They
Mm-hmm.
were like, oh, they won. Like silent. I've never heard silence after a win.
Well, they all wanted the Acclaimed to get their belts back. Anytime the Acclaimed were in the ring, anytime they did a scissors spot, anytime Billy Gunn was anything, the fans were all like, "Yay!" So, everybody loves the Acclaimed, Krishna. Everybody loves the Acclaimed,
Oh,
except me.
and apparently every single match is a no DQ match.
Yeah, that's a very good point. This was just it was ridiculous how much interference there was in this. I mean, no one said that this four-way was a no disqualification tornado tag or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be a four-way tag, but
Mm-hmm.
apparently absolutely anybody could get in the ring and do anything they want. The only time Aubrey stepped in was to remove the chair from Jeff Jarrett. I mean, this was not a good match.
No.
I gave it 2 stars
Yeah, I think that's fair.
because it was the only parts I enjoyed were Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. And I
Yep.
kept hoping is like Danhausen had those 2 near falls.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, come on, please put the belts on these guys. It would be great. Because in all honesty, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen would have better matches than the Guns have any day of the week.
Yep.
Simply because Orange Cassidy was the best guy in that ring.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay Lethal close number 2, and he barely wrestled in this match.
You know what
So
would have been
anyway,
better than this tag match? An All Atlantic Championship defense at this pay-per-view.
between Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal, because that would have been
And
pretty
yeah,
great.
oh hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy against anyone. So
Yes, well, not anybody.
well, that's true.
Satnam Singh and Orange Cassidy.
I take it back.
Yes. Yeah, and FTR showing up after the match, that was fine. I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. They're back. They're still not as good as Aussie Open, but they're back. Fourth best tag team in AEW. Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks, not in that order. Aussie Open. Is Aussie Open actually in AEW? Because they had another match on
I don't
Rampage.
know. I don't know. They sound like hired guns. I don't know. Like
Did they
just
beat Top Flight? Because my internet screwed up when I was trying to watch Rampage today.
I don't think they beat Top Flight. No.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think they beat Top Flight.
What, they can't
So
win a single match in AEW?
no,
Who the hell's
of course
booking
not.
them?
Of course not.
Jesus. I'll rant about Aussie Open tomorrow then. Okay, fine. That leads us to our main event. In the shortest number of matches leading up to the main event in AEW pay-per-view history, we get MJF champion taking on Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. So I'll give you guys some highlights from this match. I mean, it starts off with Danielson out wrestling MJF pretty early. MJF comes back a bit. I mean, they start off fairly slow, going back and forth, wrestling to a stalemate. They do some dual kip ups. MJF kept doing these spots throughout the match where he'd leave and like get water at ringside. At one point, he tries to actually leave the ring. He's like, screw this. And he gets water from a mom and throws it on her kid, which was
Pretty awesome.
funny. Yeah. He then yells at the camera, is this going to cost me a star, Dave? I'm not going to win the Bryan Danielson Award, which was also funny. Back in the ring, Danielson dominates then again until a ref distraction lets MJF put Danielson face first into a turnbuckle, and he starts to work over Danielson's taped up shoulder. MJF also cleared the crowd from a spot. Like there was a lot of like MJF comedy spots in the first bit of the match. Which kind of left later on, right? So the opening part of the match was really Danielson basically out wrestling MJF getting some good shots in and doing a few of his comedy shticks. Cleared the crowd from a spot, like they'll move the fans out of the way, and he went to like make it as though he was gonna throw Danielson over the rail into the crowd chairs, and instead he just rolled Danielson back in the ring after he made all the fans move, which was also pretty damn funny. Danielson follows up with the tope, though, but hits his own shoulder onto the rail. MJF just continued to work over Danielson's shoulder, but Danielson countered by starting to work on a knee that MJF screwed up. MJF hit a nice pump handle driver at one point for a 2 count. They then went through a long sequence of continuous near falls near the 25-minute mark. Soon after, Danielson finally scores the first fall around 25:30 with a Busaiku knee, but only a couple minutes later, MJF hits a low blow for a three. Like hits the low blow, covers him for a three, covers him again for another three, but Danielson kicked out on a third attempt at a cover, and Danielson was awarded a pin on the DQ for the low blow, so the score is now 2-2. At one point, MJF did an elbow drop off the top turnbuckle to Danielson through the timekeeper table on the floor. After a countout failed, he tombstoned Danielson through the remnants of the table, hurting his own knee again in the process. Danielson gets busted open. Back in the ring, MJF hits the heat seeker for his third fall at the 39:30 mark. MJF then spends a lot of time taunting and yelling at Danielson until Danielson tosses him into a ring post and regains control. He does a top rope headbutt that apparently busted MJF wide open. I mean, like Dustin Rhodes level of geysers coming out of MJF's head from a headbutt. Busaiku knee and a regal stretch. Nice call for that one. For a submission at the 49-minute mark. It is now 3-3. And I mean, these guys have worked their asses off at this point. Danielson goes for the regal stretch again, but MJF reverses it into the salt of the earth. But Danielson rolls through and locks in the label lock. But MJF then rolls through again into the salt of the earth, locks the other arm in and a leg in a really inventive looking little submission. He's obviously watched some Stardom, but Danielson gets to the ropes. At 2:35 left, MJF hit a second rope tombstone, but killed his own knee and couldn't cover Danielson. When he finally got to the cover, almost a minute later, Danielson kicks out and locks in a single leg crab on the bad knee in the middle of the ring with a 1-minute countdown. MJF taps at the 60:01 mark. Time has expired. Match is a draw. MJF retains. There are bullshit chants from the crowd, but of course, this is an Iron Man match, and in wrestling, Iron Man matches do not actually end. So Tony Schiavone gets a call from the back, and he comes to the ring, and Justin Roberts announces that this will be a sudden death match because Tony Khan wants an actual ending to the match because MJF retaining the belt on a draw, which is the proper rules, isn't an ending to the match. Anyway, Danielson then almost immediately hits a poison Rana into Busaiku knee, but MJF kicks out. But then MJF, he tries every method under the book to cheat. He goes to use the belt. The ref tells him you use it, you get DQ'd. He gets out the diamond ring, but the ref pulls it off his finger after he keeps trying to hide it from the ref for a while. He does the low blow, but Danielson kicks out. But then finally, Danielson gets lulled outside the ring where the doctors had been using oxygen tanks earlier when they thought the match was over, nails Danielson with an oxygen tank that apparently the ref couldn't see, locks the label lock on Bryan Danielson, and Danielson, even though he almost gets up at one point, taps out to the label lock, not the salt of the earth, the label lock, and MJF retains his title with a 4-3, legitimately, in a way, tapping out Bryan Danielson
to his own move,
his own move,
finishing move. Like, you talk about insult to injury. This is not MJF kind of winning on a cheating thing. They're like, MJF, he's the devil. He finds the ways to win, and he cheats his way through. Yeah, that's part of it. But you sort of made Danielson look weak at the end of this match. And I didn't like that. I really didn't like that. Like, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I mean, 60 minutes, you're right. These guys did work. They worked well. MJF put on a show, which he as best as he could. Danielson helped. Like that elbow off the top of the ring post outside. Holy crap. I was like, God damn. Even that innovative like little stretch he did and when he was stretching Danielson in the ring, I thought was great. I just, when Bryce grabbed he's like, go ahead, hit him with the belt. I'll call the match. Go ahead, hit him, right? Drops the belt. Then he counters the ring, like he pulls the ring out to do that. Then suddenly the oxygen tank's there. I thought at that point, you know what you do, how you smartly book this? Guess what? Bryce didn't see the oxygen tank. He gets hit. He puts on the bell lock, and guess what? Danielson is knocked out. There's no, oh my God, I have another chance, and then tap out, right? It's Danielson's out. That's it. End the match. That's all. That's all you do.
Mm-hmm.
You made Bryan Danielson look weak, having him tap out his own goddamn move. Because the whole point of these finishing moves is that you, the owner of said move, is supposed to know everything about that move, right?
Mm-hmm.
How to reverse it and everything about it. So you would never give up to that move. Second time tonight that's happened with the fake cooking a clutch that was
yes, the fake cooking a clutch,
right,
yes.
that was done by Wardlow, and then this move, and this bothers me because I don't like this finish. Had Danielson just been knocked out cold, and hey, put him in the label lock, but when his hand gets raised, it just hits the floor. Done. End of story. Like Danielson walks away with like, I got knocked out because this guy cheated. No, I tapped out. I legitimately tapped out to my own move, right?
Yep.
And that bothered me, and it's still bothering me a little bit right now.
Right.
So I mean, it was a good match, not the best Iron Man match I've ever seen. It's a good match.
What is the best Iron Man match you've ever
I
seen?
swear that there's been like, wasn't there one with Adam Cole and oh, who was it? It was it Adam Cole? I'm thinking Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't an Iron Man match where they had like pinfalls like 5-4 or something like that. I'm trying to remember that match.
Might
But
have
there was a
been.
match
that
like
was
that.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. But I don't know. This match is okay. It was good. It was, I mean, they did well, but just that the ending really screwed me up. And I was like, okay, sure.
I see you and I didn't actually get much of a chance to talk about this ending before we had to go and record this.
Yeah.
Which I think is very interesting because I have a very different opinion from you. Because I had a moment to digest it. I was sitting here thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, Bill, put aside your hatred of MJF as a character for a minute. Because
Okay.
I can't stand his character.
Okay.
But I'm like, that's not a bad thing because he's a heel. Right? He hasn't done a lot of the I want to change companies thing in a while.
No.
So it's like he has really much been the guy that no one respects. Right? Now, he tried every underhanded tactic in the book to beat Danielson tonight. And one finally worked. He hit him in the head with the oxygen tank. We can't forget that happened. Yes, Danielson tapped out after over 60 minutes of wrestling and then getting nailed in the head when he was already bleeding with an oxygen tank and having one last gasping attempt to get to his feet before passing out, because that's how tough Bryan Danielson is. Right? He's Blackpool Combat Club. He is not the kind of guy who's just going to pass up and hit with an oxygen tank. What this does, though, is it legitimizes MJF.
Yeah.
Because now he's not just the dude who needs to cheat to win. He's the dude who went 60 minutes legitimately getting to a 3-3 draw with Bryan Danielson in an Iron Man match that was pretty darn good. Maybe not the best 60 minutes of wrestling I've ever seen paced out like that in my life, but it certainly wasn't terrible. And the story they told through it, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, they told a hell of a story here. They opened it up with Danielson out wrestling MJF and then MJF coming back a little bit. And then MJF resorts to smashing him into ring posts, beating him around outside. Danielson comes back with wrestling, but then you just see it. They're both beating each other so badly. They're both running out of gas to a certain point. But even at the end, when they told that story with MJF's crying because he's so frustrated to have to keep wrestling, and Danielson's laughing. Right. And they get up and they're just beating on each other. I'm like, the emotion these guys showed, the way MJF just stuck to his character through the entire match with his emotion from being the smarmy dude at the beginning, but the jokes were gone 15 minutes in, right? The taunting, the jokes, those are all put aside. It was business after that. All right. And I love the way they threaded that through 60 minutes, right up till the end when he's just desperate. He knows he cannot beat Danielson unless he cheats. So he cheats and he wins. And yeah, he beat him with his own hold, but only under those desperate of all desperate circumstances would that have worked. It would never have worked in a standard match against Danielson. You're absolutely right. But in this match, it actually works because can you imagine MJF's promos Wednesday.
Going forward, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the problem. He's not wrong.
No.
He has been made a legitimate, holy crap, who's going to beat this dude champion, right? Which makes him a hell of a target for a really big face.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's apparently in the press conference called out like everybody. So
yep. Danielson just made MJF into a bigger champion than he already was.
Yeah.
Kudos to him, because that's what you do with a match like this if you're not winning it.
Yeah.
And damn, did he do a good job. I give this one 4.25 stars.
Okay.
Yep. Because of the way that it has actually woven the story through it. Was all the wrestling the most amazing wrestling I've ever seen? If it had been, this would be much higher, because the actual story to me is just that good when I stop and think about it. And I had to get that hatred of MJF, but then I thought, that's exactly what it does. I hate him so much. Now, who the hell is going to beat him? Oh, wait, there's one man who is that good. Right. Kenny Omega, right? Like, it'll have to be Kenny Omega eventually, right? He has to get his belt back.
I hope it would be Kenny Omega if they're gonna turn them good, but who knows?
Doesn't matter if he's good, he just gets the belt.
I wish. I really wish.
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens. But no, I didn't. I actually, honestly, I thought this when I actually looked at, not my favorite Iron Man match, but I also had to judge it as an Iron Man match.
Yeah.
I can't judge it like next, because I commented to you, hey, 25 minutes in, like this is where Suri and Julia had gone 25 minutes and had done like 7 times more stuff than these guys have done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I still think that I would marginally say I like the Mox Hangman match better. But overall match of the night, of course, the Elite.
Yeah, agreed.
Anything on this show get the Omega level?
Yeah, the Elite versus the I don't know why you want to call them Blackpool Combat Club, but the Elite versus House of Black, obviously.
Yes.
I got to see Kenny go back to his greatest hits. Every move I wanted to see, he did it.
Except the one-wing
Everything.
angel.
Except the one-wing angel. But I mean, I've seen that. I've seen that recently. I've seen him put that on people to win matches with the Elite, but just everything. Like I was literally calling moves. I'm like, oh my god, he's doing the Katara Crusher. Oh my god, he's doing his flip. Oh my god, like I was in it, like, and watching him go up against every single person of the Blackpool Combat Club.
You mean the House of Black?
House of Black. I was like, oh my god, dream match.
I know, right?
Like it was absolutely fantastic. So, and man, like Kenny hits an amazing V trigger, but holy crap, that reversal by Malaki, oh my god, I have never seen someone reverse a V trigger into their own knee and hit like that before.
Yep.
Blown away.
It's like, how everyone's like, oh, this person does a V trigger just like I think the only person I could legitimately put as the 1B to Kenny's 1A with the V trigger would be Malaki Black. Holy heck, does that knee look like it kills?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I would agree. That match was Omega level.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Loved it. Great match. Everything in it was like that kind of wrestling I love. All the stuff that was going on, some of the reversals, the moves. Yeah, that's an Omega level match.
And now what next with all these guys?
Yeah. Mox and Hangman, if I were going to say that there is an Omega ranking for death matches, I'd give that one an Omega ranking.
Fantastic.
They absolutely fantastic. They killed it. And even though I had all those good things to say about the main event, I still wouldn't put it at the Omega level. It was missing something from the I don't know, like just the wrestling, the just the cliched way that Tony Khan has to announce extra time, sudden death time. Can we stop doing that for these matches, please? Like every one of them has to go into extra time. So anyway, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, that takes it out of any contention for Omega level, even though the match itself 4.25 for me, but not an Omega level.
Omega. Agreed.
Pay-per-view, Omega level or not?
No, I don't think the pay-per-view was Omega. But, however, that being said, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I was down with this pay-per-view. I told you a couple of days ago, I'm not really that excited about this pay-per-view. A lot better. Yes. Because you know why? it didn't go on for 10 hours, right? I had an hour Iron Man match, and every other match was really really tight and really fast. It was I think the Elite and Death, I keep saying Death Triangle, like the House of Black, they got the most time out of everyone else, I think, right?
Maybe.
And they put in a great match. So yeah, they had some crappy matches, hence like the tag match, but then they had, as you just said, an Omega level match, a 1A and a 1B on the
Mm-hmm.
show. So I thought it was this pay-per-view was going to be okay at best, and it turned out to be very good. So
Yep.
exceeded my expectations.
Me too. Yeah, solid pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. Um, it was better than I thought it was going to be, and it was bad in some of the places I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be bad.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
it maintained my expectations in a couple spots. But overall, you know what? I enjoyed myself. AEW,
Same.
you did it again. You put on a damn good show. Was
Mm-hmm.
this going to be my
Mm-hmm.
show of the year? Probably not. I got
No.
what's probably going to be a Stardom show that's going to kick its ass that I'm going to watch in a few days. So, I mean, there is that. But guys, I'm not going to stop talking about Stardom. Just
He had to throw
accept it.
Stardom in there again.
I of
Again.
course have to throw Stardom in there again. But anyway, um, but that I do believe brings us to the end of our review of AEW Revolution.
It
We will be
does.
back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night,
Tomorrow.
evening,
Yeah. Yeah.
afternoon, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm tired, guys. Give me a break. We'll be back tomorrow with our usual, One Winged Wrestling weekly show where we're going to look at some news and matches that we think you should check out and all kinds of other fun stuff. But for now, as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody. Mwah! And good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.
Arrivederci.